Hey yo, what up, what up? It's your boy Achilles in the house. I'm here bringing you a tier list for all the Counter-Strike 2 knives. So without any further ado, I'm gonna start off with this knife that I have in my hand. Remind you that I don't know the name of every single knife in the game, so I'm gonna have to post a screenshot on the screen. So anyways, this knife, pretty default. It got some default slashes going on. The default knife has that. Um, you got some spinning animation going on when you equip it. That's cool. That's cool. Nothing too fancy. So you know what? I'm gonna give this knife a beat here. Let's move on. Well, here we have this knife, whatever it's called. Oh, wow, looks pretty cool. It's pointing right at you, which I don't think you want to be doing that in a real combat situation. But you know, style-wise, it got some swag, I'd say. You got some slashes, nothing too fancy comparing to some of the other knives that I'm gonna show. But okay, you got a stabbing right click. Looks pretty cool. Overall, I'm gonna give this knife a B tier. Nothing too special. Let's move on. Alright, so next up we have this knife. Looks pretty cool. I mean, it has a very cool shape to it. Interesting shape. The grip is pretty cool. You got a very interesting grip there. Showing it left to right. Okay, okay. Oh, you got the whoa. That's some spinning animations going on. That's cool. That's cool. Other than that, I don't know about this animation. Instead of a knife animation, that looks more like a hand animation. But okay, I'm gonna give this knife a B tier. Moving on, we go to this knife. Nothing too special again. Most of the knives, they kind of look similar to each other. That's why we're going to rate the unique knives higher than the other ones. But talking about this knife, nothing too fancy animation wise, kind of trash. I wouldn't recommend this to anyone unless you're really desperate for a knife and you find this for a cheap price. Or you get lucky or get it from a chest, and that's fine too. It's a cute little knife, nothing too fancy. But yeah, overall, B tier. Now we're gonna introduce this knife, which has a very sleek animation there, grabbing it by the tip. Oh, you got some nice throwing, spinning going on. Cool, cool. Okay, now this is what I'm looking for in a knife, to be honest. Got some nice animation. The knife looks good, and I don't know about this. This looks like the default animation for the knife, but yeah, I'm gonna give this knife A tier. And of course, if you hold F, you're gonna get this, which is very cool in my opinion. I mean, oh, okay, I got kind of jump scared there. They appeared out of nowhere. But yeah, this animation, pretty awesome. I mean, look, if there's just one opponent left and there are like 5 guys remaining in your team, you can just like walk around doing this. And people are just gonna get jealous of your knife. So, you know what? I recommend this knife. Very cool, very cool. Moving on. So next up we have this knife. So it has a very cool equip animation. I'm not sure what is it doing though. I think it's opening it from the back. I'm not sure, but yeah, you got some nice spinning animation. You got some hand gestures going on. Very unique, and we are going to rate it higher than usual because of its uniqueness. Being a unique knife definitely has its ups. So yeah, I'm gonna rate this knife A tier. Very cool knife. Very satisfying spin. Interesting overall. Move on. Next up, we have this knife, which it's very cool looking. When it comes to shape, it definitely looks cool. You got a nice equip animation, interesting. But you know what? Overall, it's kind of boring to have this one. Nothing very special going on. It's small in size too, so I'm gonna give this knife a beat here. I believe this knife is called the butcher's knife, but someone can correct me on that. I'm not too good when it comes to naming knives. I'm not CS. specialist. But yeah, this knife looks cool. It's a very like it looks like a troll knife, something like you wouldn't usually use something like this in the battlefield. But yeah, animation wise, I mean there is no idle animation, which sucks. The slashing animations are just the default ones you see on the default knife, so it's just nothing special to it. So yeah, we're gonna move on. This is C tier. Now this is an interesting knife. I believe it's called a shadow dagger, or maybe it's not. Oh, I think it's a talon claw. Oh yeah, it's a talon. Right, 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 right. My friend has this knife. Very cool knife. Spinning animation. It's just the shape itself. I mean, like it's grabbing it from. It's like what do you call it? The back grip or something. It's called. But yeah, it has a very cool right click animation. I was about to say R2, but yeah, very interesting knife, and I would highly suggest to get this knife if you can. And there's a reason why this knife has a high price on the market. So yeah, now you know why. Very cool knife. Moving on. Oh yeah, forgot to rate it. I'm gonna give this knife A tier. Moving on. Oh, and if any of you is wondering what map is this, I'm gonna post a link below so you can subscribe to it and test it out yourself. It's a very cool map. A friend of mine suggested to me. So yeah, this knife, very cool knife, very cool. It has some sleek animations going on. It has a huge surface, which means that while you're in game, it's gonna shine a lot because of its huge surface. But yeah, look at that. If you hold F, you get this. Now, hold F animation, you don't get to do it as much, but if you wanna waste time or something during game, if you're waiting for something, this is definitely something to look at. It is very satisfying. It gets people really jealous. So yeah, moving on. This knife, I'm gonna place it S tier. Now we're gonna talk about the butterfly knife. Obviously, the best knife in the game. Animation wise, there's just too good. Awesome stuff. It also fetches a high price on the market. Look at that spinning animation, dude. Like, have to consider the animation when you're rating a knife, obviously. And people say, this is an overrated knife or whatever, but you know what? It's overrated for a reason, and the reason is obvious. Whenever you get this knife from a chest, you don't just say, "Oh wow, I just got the overrated knife." Nope, you're gonna say, "Oh my god, I'm gonna be rich." But yeah, this knife definitely S plus tier. No questions about it, no doubts about it. Look at that. Every animation is unique. You got the clicking sound, ultra satisfying, gets people jealous as hell. They just want to flame you, they just want to be toxic at you because you have this and they don't. So, yeah, definitely must have in CS2. Next up is the stiletto. Very interesting name and very easy to memorize. And the animation, very cool. You got this hold F spinning animation. And not so much as when it goes to idle animation, it doesn't have anything. It just stands there doing nothing. Which some of the knives do have idle animations, which is very cool. This one doesn't, which is kind of a bummer. The equip animation is the best part of it. So if you have this knife, you're just gonna be doing this a lot. You're just gonna be equipping it. You're not gonna be pressing F or like uh, slashing everywhere because it doesn't have anything special. You're just gonna be equipping your AK, equipping back to the knife, and so on and so forth, rinse and repeat. Yeah, I mean overall, I'm gonna give this knife an A tier. Next up is going to be the skeleton knife. I've been trying to get this knife these days because it's just awesome. It looks really cool. It has that cool animation. It has that very unique looking ring in the middle. Just looks like a fidget spinner, of course. You can spin it around when you equip it, which is pure awesomeness. Really gets people jealous when they see it, especially if you have a nice, fade skin on it. Definitely worth it. And look at that. If you hold F, you get this fidget spinner animation. Pure awesome. Look how fast it's spinning. It looks like you can almost attack with it. Imagine you can attack with this knife like this. That would be OP. Like grinding people. Oh my god, this is awesome, dude. Amazing knife. S tier. Moving on. All right, next up we have the Falcon knife. I assume it's the Falcon knife. This knife doesn't cost a lot on the market, but it's very cool. You know, you got some hold F animation. The quip animation looks pretty decent. Flick it from left to right. The shape of the knife, it's nothing too special. Looks like the default knife almost with some hand grips. But yeah, oh, you got some cool animation there. What was that? I barely saw it. Maybe a rare animation when you equip it? Yep. Looks like you stab yourself a little bit, which is very funny. But yeah, I mean, you know, when you if you get this knife either by a chest or by buying it, it's okay. You know, you can show off that you have a knife, but don't be too proud of it. Next up is I'm pretty sure this is called the Navaya knife. It's a very unique knife. It looks very old school. Uh, it has some like very interesting animation when he opens it. It sounds very satisfying as well. I mean, this is again one of those knives. If you have this knife, you're just gonna be equipping it and re-equipping it over and over. You're not gonna be pressing F. There's no point pressing F. It doesn't have any special animation. But the best thing is the equipping animation, which yeah, you're gonna be doing this a lot. Very nice, awesome. Moving on. All right, I forgot to rate it. I'm just gonna place it on B tier. Next up, we have the M9 bayonet. I rather call it the Rambo knife, which it is the Rambo knife. I mean, look at it. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why people like this knife, because it is a Rambo knife and people like Rambo a lot, but maybe I'm wrong. But anyways, animation wise, pretty cool. You know, equip animation, it's a nice spin. You got some default looking slashes, nothing too fancy going on there. If you press F, you just get this. There is no hold F animation, kind of a bummer. It fetches a nice price on the market, so if you get it by chance on a chest, you're gonna count yourself pretty lucky. So yeah, moving on. Oh yeah, I forgot to rate it. I'm gonna give this A tier, just because it's a Rambo knife. Nothing too special for it. Moving on. Next up, we have the kukri knife. It's a very historic weapon, but animation-wise, you got some spins over here and there. Nothing too special, you know. I mean, it kind of looks a bit boring when you look at it. It's nothing fancy at all. I mean, it doesn't even fetch a good price on the market. So if you get this from a chest, don't count yourself lucky. Instead, count yourself unlucky because you could have gotten a better knife. So yeah, moving on. I mean, I give this knife a C tier. Very boring look, nothing special. All right, next up we have the shadow daggers. Very unique looking knives. You get two of them, both hands, so that's unique by itself. No other knife has this feature. You got some cool animations, nothing is recycled. Very cool, very cool. And for some reason, these knives ended up having a negative price on the market. And I have my theories, because if you are new to Counter-Strike, you might think that these are the best knives in the game. Because when I first saw these knives, I thought to myself, yo, that is awesome, dude. But guess what? They have a very bad price on the market. And the whole reason why they have for them having a bad price is because some people have been going around giving these knives a bad name. And that ended up giving these knives a bad reputation. So yeah, you don't count yourself too lucky, and don't be proud of these knives if you own them. Move on. Oh yeah, I forgot to rate them. C tier. And that's the end of the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any thoughts you want to share, please share them in the comment section below. And I wish you a happy day. Peace.